We are live here with Facebook Live here today. If you are here, if you're watching me, then please give me a thumbs up or wave your hand to let me know that you are there, that you are here on this very Facebook Live today. Today's Facebook Live is going to be about anxiety and how I overcame anxiety. Hey Deb, how are you? Good to see you. Anyone else out there, please give me the wave or the thumbs up so I know that you're there. Very, very good. So the first part is going to be about me sharing my story of how I overcame anxiety from being a suicidal, depressed, fat, obese, anxious young man in my teenage years to being where I am today. I'm going to share my story with you. I'm also going to share with you at least 3 tips, at least 3 tools that you can use. We've got more people joining us. Very good. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a wave to let me know that you're there. And I'm going to give you at least 3 tools on what I use daily with my clients, daily with myself to help keep the evil grasp of anxiety at bay and have more control of my life and facilitate in my clients having more control of their life. And at the end of today's Facebook Live, watch all the way to the end. We're going to be here to about 7:30, 7:45 tonight, because at the end I'm going to give you a very special offer, but it's only for people who stay on this Facebook Live all the way to the end to approximately 7:30, 7:45, where I will be giving you this amazing offer. So you want to stick around right to the end of this. So, my story really. So when I was younger, I had about every kind of problem you can imagine, to be honest with you. Now, growing up, I grew up in the 90s. I'm 41 years young in a couple months, and I thought I was really depressed and I thought I was really sad, but something didn't quite ring true when I heard people talk about depression or sadness. And back in the mid-90s, anxiety was not all the rage that it is now, because it almost seems that everyone we know right now suffers from some sort of anxiety, eh? Someone says they're anxious at school. Somebody says they're anxious. Hey, we've got more people joining us. Hey, Paul, how are you? Remember, give us a thumbs up. Give me a wave so I know you're there, that I know that you are listening. That would be lovely, or watching even more. So I remember knowing that there was something wrong, but not knowing what was really wrong, because we didn't really have the internet in the mid-90s. And I remember walking around and I just didn't want to leave my house. I was very, very agoraphobic. And when I did leave my house, I'd break out in a big red face and I'd be profusely sweating. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? If you're joining us on the call, give me a wave, give me a thumbs up so I know that you are there. It's interesting because my phone didn't rotate while I'm doing this right now, and I've locked it in and I don't want to remove it. So I can see myself like this, which looks good, and I see all your comments coming. So in a minute, I'm not going to be able to see my face because all those comments are coming and go about halfway into the screen. So I look a bit like Darby Allin now, the wrestler, with half my face is white as I'm looking at it, and the other half is normal, if I am normal. But anyways, back to the story. If you're watching, give me a thumbs up, wave your hand. My story. So I had this thing called anxiety. Did not know what it was. Wasn't diagnosed with it. I just knew that when I left my house, my heart would be beating like this. I'd be sweating profusely, even in the winter. If I went to Starbucks, actually that's a lie, there wasn't Starbucks in the mid-90s, but if I went to my local shop, candy store, whatever, to buy something, I couldn't even make eye contact with the clerk, because I was so, and excuse my language, fucking nervous. I'd just be looking down the whole time, fiddling with my fingers. I couldn't speak to girls. I couldn't do anything. It got so bad that I left school. I left school without doing my GCSEs, which in England is like the American version of the SAT. It's what gets you into college. It's what gets you into university. And I was so nervous that I left school early. And I just refused to leave my bedroom. My only friend was television. My only friend was talk radio or professional wrestling. It was the only thing that would give me comfort. And I'd go and see psychotherapists and I'd go and see counsellors. And nothing was helping me. They even wanted to give me antidepressants. They wasn't overly subscribing anti-anxietants at that stage because it wasn't such a big thing. But I just knew that there was something wrong. I didn't quite know what it was. And again, if you're watching, please give me a thumbs up, give me a wave so I know that you're there. And this talk tonight is going to be split up into a couple of different segments. First segment is the story that I'm going through now, my story of how I overcame anxiety. Second part is I'm going to share with you at least 3 tools that you can use to help give you alleviation. Thanks, Janet. Back at you for overcoming anxiety. And at the end, if you stay all the way to the end, I've got a very special gift that I'm going to give you if you stay here all the way to the end. But you're going to only know what that gift is if you get to the end of this, and I promise to give you lots of cool stuff. But please stay engaged with me tonight, because I am here and I only know that you're there when I see the number of people that are watching, or I see your comments or the waves and the thumbs up. All right, the thumbs up like that. That's how I know. That keeps me engaged if you're engaged. So here I am. I'm in my bedroom. I'm about 16, 17. Got no friends. Left school early. Want to kill myself. Guess what? I take a bunch of pills, try and kill myself. And I'm rushed into the hospital. And I remember they're pumping my stomach and I'm vomiting all over the place. And I was just feeling really, really terrible. Really, really terrible. I didn't know what was wrong. No, I wasn't really depressed. I was a bit sad. But I just couldn't connect with people. I just felt really nervous, and I didn't know what this word anxiety is. Luckily, I didn't kill myself. And it put me on this course, actually, of what I do now. Because in England, where I'm originally from, it's not where I am anymore, we had this TV show every Monday evening, about an hour later than this, about 8 p.m. on British television. It was called The Hypnotic World of Paul McKenna. Don't know if any of you have heard of Paul McKenna. He is a very famous hypnotist. Hey Camille, good to see you. Hey Janelle, good to see you there as well. Hey Kenneth, good to see you there as well. And I'd watch it, and it was basically one of those dog and pony shows. You've heard it, you've seen it, where the hypnotist hypnotises people on stage, makes fun of them, so they're dancing like Michael Jackson, they're singing like Madonna, doing all kinds of silliness. But I'm a kid, right? So whatever we see on TV, we believe is real. Especially back before the internet, because everything we see on TV is real, right? So I'd watch this show and I'm like, well, if you can hypnotise these people to do all these crazy things, you know, maybe you can help me get over this. And as luck would have it, we had a newspaper in England called the News of the World. It's very popular. It no longer exists. But at the back of that newspaper one Sunday, as I'm scanning through it, there was a coupon for an audio cassette. See, this was an MP3. This wasn't even a CD. This was a lame old audio cassette. Who's old enough to remember audio cassettes out there? Give me a wave, give me a thumb so I know I am not the only old bastard here. I do use colourful language, guys, just warning you from time to time. So if you have young'uns in the room and you're watching this, God bless you. Maybe get them to leave the room for the next 30 minutes or so, if you can. Thank you for the thumbs up, whoever did that. So, long story short, I see this audio cassette, and it's in the back of the News of the World. All you got to do is send a cheque for $20 or £10. I had a little. So what I did is I had some money in my savings. I got my sister to write a cheque, and this audio cassette was called Supreme Self-Confidence. I think that's what I need, right? The antidote to anxiety, or whatever this problem was I needed to be confident. So I waited eagerly for that audio cassette to appear. It said like it's going to take about 21 to 28 days. Snail mail. Okay, this is before the internet, guys. We're spoiled now. Finally, that audio cassette arrived. Supreme Self-Confidence by Paul McKenna. I open it up and I put it into my Walkman, my Sony Walkman. Who remembers a Sony Walkman out there? Give me a thumbs up. Those big ass headphones as well that would make you sweat when you listen to them. Side A was just what we call the pre-talk, explaining what hypnosis was and what hypnosis wasn't. Side B, there's someone there giving a thumbs up who remembers the old Sony Walkmans. Side B was the actual hypnosis. Now, my belief filter was filled up because I'm like, hypnosis works. Otherwise, they wouldn't put it on TV, right? And this guy is a great hypnotist because he wouldn't have this show every night on primetime TV for about 5 years in the UK. So I open up the cassette and the instructions are to listen to it every day. Listen to side A, the explanation, listen to side B. And because I totally believed it, right, I listened to it every day religiously for a good, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Fucking changed my life. Changed my life. You got to understand, I'd gone through about 5 years of child therapy at that point. I'd gone through being in a children's home a little bit up to that point. I'd had all these very intelligent people with PhDs and lots of initials after their names working with me, but I was still Again, I do use colourful language. If you've got kids in the room, you might want to tell them to just leave the room for a little bit while you're listening to this. I was still fucked up. I listened to this tape and I believed it was going to work. I just believed it because I saw it work on TV. And that fucking audio cassette, it changed my life. It changed my life and it changed the path that I was on. Remember, this was a generic one-size-fits-all cassette. It wasn't specially recorded for me. Paul McKenna was selling these to anyone who had confidence issues. But I believed in it so much, I listened to it, it changed my life. And it put me on course for the next 23 years to traveling the world, to learning how to do this thing called hypnosis and change work, how to do it fast, how to do it elegantly, how to do it in a non-invasive way. Because I'm like, if this generic audio cassette could be so powerful, what would happen if I learnt this shit for real? So I spent way too much money and way too much time turning my life into an odyssey, traveling around the world, finding the best people far smarter than me that developed these skills as hypnotists and change workers, and I modelled them. Essentially I stole their techniques, but I paid them good money for it, money that I didn't have, but that's a different story, to get to the skill where I am today. So understand, if you're out there guys and you just join us, please give me a thumbs up, give me a wave, let me know that you're there, let me know if any of this resonates with you. I'm trying to turn my head like this so I can read your comments because my phone is on the side and I don't want to unplug it because yeah, it's a nightmare if I do that and I don't want to lose contact with you guys. Thank you. So yeah, then I spent a long time overcoming it. I realised this thing that I had was anxiety. Now, a lot of people think, well, look, I've got anxiety. I just said it. I just messed up, didn't I? I just said I'd have anxiety. Anxiety is not something you have. You see, I have this pen. I have this wireless joypad. I have this sugar-free beverage here. I have those things, can see them, can touch them. Don't have anxiety, neither do you. I do anxiety, or I used to at least. A lot of my clients that came to see me, they used to do anxiety, not anymore. All of you guys, you do anxiety. And you're like, look, what does that mean? Do you think I'm deliberately choosing to do anxiety? Are you out of your frigging mind? Nah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're sitting there every day saying, you know what? At 4 p.m. every day, I'm going to give myself a panic attack. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying every night before I go to bed, I'm going to make sure I take anxiety to bed so I've got insomnia. I'm deliberately doing that. No, understand, I'm not saying you're deliberately doing it. Neither did I. Neither do any of my clients. What I'm saying is at an unconscious level, you're doing anxiety. Let me tell you how everyone does anxiety. Let me give you the strategy for every person that I've ever met that did anxiety, any client. It's how I did it as well. Anxiety can only live in the future. You can't have anxiety for this moment. You also can't have anxiety for something that happened. You have fear for something that happened, but not anxiety. You can only have anxiety for something that hasn't happened. Here's how everybody does anxiety. They go out to a future event that hasn't happened. They catastrophize it, imagine it going horrible, imagine it going bad. So they're visualizing it, getting that part of their brain working, and then they're getting the neurological dump of hormones, i.e. adrenaline, fight, or freeze inside of their system. And they're dumping a shitload of cortisol, which is the stress hormone inside their body. So their body believes it's real. Your unconscious mind believes it's real. Some people call it the subconscious, I call it the unconscious. But you're having that dump of all of those chemicals in your body while you're unconsciously rehearsing it. And by the way, that way that I described it, it happens quicker than I can click my fingers. To a point where you don't even realise that you're visualising things having this chemical dump. That's why you think it's being done to you. It's not, you're doing it. You're not doing it consciously. You're not sitting around saying, I'm going to give myself a panic attack every morning I get up. Understand, I'm not saying that. But unconsciously, you've grooved the road, you've grooved the grease so well, it's easy for me to say, that you just do it automatically and it's your new normal. I'm just kind of turning my head to try and look at some of your comments as well. What trains up to be, Camille has asked, what trains up to do anxiety? What trains up to do anxiety? I don't understand the question, Camille. If you could write it again maybe for me, I will endeavour to read it again. So we understand that anxiety can only live in the future. You can feel it now. You can feel that shitty feeling of sweating, heart beating, not knowing what to say in a conversation, not wanting to leave your house, not being able to sleep well at night. You do it in the moment now, but it's for something that hasn't happened, because anxiety is always in the future. How everyone does anxiety is they catastrophize. Not consciously, not logically, not with this part of their mind, but quicker than I can click my fingers, they go out to an event that hasn't happened, imagine it rapidly, quicker than that. Sometimes so fast that you don't even realise you're seeing pictures inside your head, almost like one of those old flip books that you flick through. Remember as a kid? And you catastrophize, imagine it going bad, have that emotional reaction and have that chemical reaction of all those hormones jumping, dropping inside your body, like adrenaline, fight, flight or freeze, and cortisol. And that's what happens. That's how everybody does anxiety world round. So understand that anxiety is a bit like a nightmare, but it's a nightmare with your eyes open and it's in the daytime. Typically, imagine if you're having a nightmare at night and you wake up, but if it's like one of mine, I watch too much of The Walking Dead and zombie movies, I'm being eaten, I'm in a post-apocalyptic world and zombies are trying to eat me and come and get me. I'll wake up and it feels real, right? Because it was Sunday night and I just watched The Walking Dead. And my heart's beating, I may have perspired a little bit, I may even be a little bit out of breath, and I look around, I look next to me, my girlfriend's there, I realise I've got both my arms, both my legs, I'm in my apartment. It was just a dream. It was just a dream. It was a really vivid dream. It was really real at the time. But as soon as I realised it was a dream, all that fear and anxiety I had just dropped. Anxiety is a bit like a daymare, meaning, and you're being had by it. You're being had. You're being conned by this daymare, this nightmare you're having in the day with your eyes open. That's why it feels so real. And understand by real, I'm not discounting that you feel these feelings. I know you're feeling these feelings. I too used to feel these feelings, but I'm saying it isn't real, because if it was real, you wouldn't have time to be anxious about it. And I'm going to go into that a little bit in a moment. So you might find yourself going forward after this Facebook Live, catching yourself. You're in the day, you're having a panic attack, something's going bad, and you just be like, actually, hold on, this is not real. And it isn't real, because if it was real, I wouldn't be anxious about it now. And what I mean by that is this. If you're scared of falling, you're climbing Ayers Rock in Australia, if you're scared, if you're anxious about falling down to the ground and going splat, all your anxiety is telling you is the thing that you're scared of isn't actually happening in that moment. Now, it could happen. You could go splat. It could equally not happen and you hang on, or you go up to the cliff. But it just tells you one thing, that the thing that you fear isn't actually happening in that moment. Because if it was, you wouldn't be thinking about it. Your unconscious mind, your amygdala, your prefrontal cortex of your brain, or your subconscious mind as some people would call it, won't take a moment visualizing or having a daymare of what could happen. It's going to send all your hormones, all your blood splattering, technical word, around your body. So if you do eventually go splat, it's going to do the least amount of damage. Another example of this is if you're scared of drowning, and we go on a yacht and we go out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and you're sitting on the edge of that yacht or that boat, and you're scared of falling over and drowning. You could be scared before you're in the water. You could be in the water and we pull you out and you've been scared and you replay the movie and you have fear for that movie of something to happen. But if you're in the water and you're drowning, you're no longer doing anxiety, because your unconscious mind isn't taking a second to potentially think about what's happening. It's too busy keeping your mouth above water, trying to get you enough breaths of oxygen, kicking and flailing your arms and legs. It's not taking a millisecond to think about what could happen. It's trying to keep you alive. Because understand this, your unconscious mind is not set up for you to be happy. I repeat that again, your unconscious, subconscious mind is not set up for you to be happy. It's set up to keep you alive. No matter what happens, it's set up to keep you alive. I don't know how many of you have had this experience, and I hope none of you have. Have any of you ever tried to kill yourself before? Thumbs up, give me a wave. I have, a couple of times before the age of 18. And as much as I wanted to die in that moment, there was still a part of me that was fighting putting those tablets in. It was fighting keeping me conscious, because even though on one level I wanted to go and be done with this world, there was a part of me that would fight. Because your unconscious mind's number one job is to keep you alive. As I turn my head to the side, I want to make sure I'm reading some of these comments now. Camille has written back, which came first, anxiety or depression? If a person has depression, which oftentimes anxiety follows, or vice versa? To answer that question, Camille, I don't know for you specifically. If it is for you, that question, I don't know. However, I will tell you that every client I see, for every single problem, whether it's a smoker that wants to quit, whether it's the heroin addict that wants to quit, whether it's the child that pees the bed and there's no physiological reason for that, or it's the woman who wants to get over that tremendous trauma of what happened to her when she was younger. Every single problem that someone comes to me for, no matter what it is, the underlying level, thanks to whoever gave me the thumbs up, is anxiety. What if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't go away? I came in and I wanted to smoke a 10 out of 10. Now it's a 0, Luke, in 1 hour. But what happens if it comes back tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now? The person who's got depression, I don't feel sad right now. When I came in, I felt sad. My sadness was at 8 out of 10. Now it's a 0, Luke. But what happens tomorrow when I wake up, Luke? What happens a week from now, a month from now, a year from now? Understand that then becomes a separate problem. The problem they initially came in for, whatever the addiction was they wanted to get over, or the pattern or behaviour they wanted to get rid of, that's cleared because they can't do it anymore in my session. They can still do anxiety. So I have to do a whole part of the session to help them clear up the anxiety so they know that they can be successful. So hopefully that kind of answers your question, Camille. Jennifer asks, anxiety comes first. Before depression, not necessarily. It's different things for different people. I know people that, again, they don't have any anxiety, but they're depressed. But when we clear up the depression, then they then can have anxiety about it sticking and being long lasting. Luke, what happens if it comes back? That whole spiel that I just said. So oftentimes they go hand in hand, but not all the time. Another Jennifer asks, did you ever have depersonalization? It comes from anxiety. I'm imagining, Jennifer, do you mean depersonalization where you just kind of dissociate from things? So you dissociate from yourself, from your mind, from your body and your identity? Is that what you mean by that? If so, just write a comment underneath. The Hypno Pixie is watching here as well. Hello, Hypno Pixie. So anxiety, there always has to be a level of work whenever I'm doing change work with anyone to clear out the anxiety. To make sure that the work sticks, the good work that we do sticks and is permanent. If that answers some questions there. I'm just trying to multitask here. I'm answering questions and telling you a little bit about my story. We are at 7:30 right now. So it's a little bit about kind of the stuff that I went through with anxiety. I did actually have depression. I think Jennifer asked as well. I did have depression as well. And I overcame that as well with some of the techniques that I'm going to teach you with here today. Great. So Jennifer answers, yes, that's what I'm saying about the depersonalization. Yeah. So oftentimes what people do is when they're anxious, they're associated, they're right in the moment, they're looking through their own eyes. It's as if that tiger, it comes from days when we were cavemen and cave women and there was lions and tigers. As if that lion or tiger was there and is about to eat us right now. So what we're seeing in our mind, we're thinking of that terrible thing happening. Our nervous system starts to react as if it's real, because your nervous system, your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between something that's real and something that's vividly imagined. A prime example of this is, have you ever been walking down an alleyway, a dark alleyway late one night, and you're walking around and then you hear a bottle roll and you start to, you get goosebumps, the hairs on your arms start to come up and you start to get really, really tight. You're like, am I being followed? Is someone coming after me? Is someone going to do some ill will to me? What's going on? Your heart goes a bit further. You think you might be under attack. All you've heard is a bottle at this point, but you start to play these mind games, this daymare inside your head until it gets out of control. And then you look back, you're about to have a panic attack, you look back, it was just a cat. It was just a cat that was moving by, but you didn't see the cat. And then you breathe and you realise everything's okay, you're not being pursued in that moment. But that's how powerful anxiety can be. It's like having a nightmare in the day with your eyes open and you think that what you're seeing inside your brain is actually happening. Now, the movie that you're projecting, the worst case scenario, even if you don't think you're playing a movie inside your head, you are. Everybody does. It might just happen for you so fast, like quicker than I can click my fingers, that you don't even see it. You start to believe it's real, and then your body starts to respond in such a way to try and protect you. The ironic thing is it tries to protect you by releasing adrenaline, fight, flight, or freeze, right? Which may have helped you at some point in your life if this was real, if you really were under attack. But given that most people are not under attack, if you are under attack, it's not anxiety, it's something completely different. If you're just having that thought-mare and you're having that panic attack of something that could go wrong inside your head, you're actually training your central nervous system, you actually train your unconscious mind to release more adrenaline inside your body, which makes you feel that you have got more anxiety, and start to code that into your neurology, so that becomes your new normal. So then anything can be your trigger to set off this anxiety, even if you're safely at home, nothing's going on, and a friend or a Facebook post comes up about something bad happened, and you start to have a panic attack. What if that happens to me? Coronavirus, the big thing right now. I don't want to get the coronavirus. Maybe I can't leave the house right now. It's all bad. It's all bad. Now, I understand there's an element that we need to protect ourselves. That's the intelligent thing to do. But avoiding the world, avoiding actually having contact with people, it's going to do us more harm than good. Again, if you're watching, please give me a thumbs up, give me a wave so I know that you're still there. Any questions you've got, I will endeavour to try and answer them as I'm talking here today or at the end. I want to share with you at least 3 tools right now, at least 3 tools that can help you get out of anxiety in that moment. Whoever gave me the heart, right back at you. 3 tools. These are the tools that I teach my clients. These are the tools that I use myself. Because understand this, everybody gets anxious, guys. So sometimes clients come to me and say, look, I want you to take away all my anxiety forever. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be with you forever, am I? First and foremost. And secondly, anxiety has its uses. An example of this is if you're walking down the road and Rex, the dog, starts chasing you to bite your bottom, it might be appropriate to have a little bit of anxiety in that moment. It might be appropriate so you release a bit more adrenaline, so you run a bit faster, you jump over that wall a little bit higher so you can get to be safe. In that moment, it might be appropriate to have a little bit of anxiety to get you safe. That's good. Everyone has that. And all my clients, when they leave my office after we've got rid of all the bad anxiety, have that ability. What I'm talking about bad anxiety is when you're at home, when there's nothing going on, and you start to have those mind games inside your head. There's daymares. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? What if that interview goes bad tomorrow? What if that date goes horrible next week? What if I never get a job, never find love? What if I never get in shape? I'm talking about that shit. Camille asked a question. What's the difference between being ready for the worst and anxiety? Self-esteem would be my easy answer to that, Camille. Understand that oftentimes people think confidence and self-esteem are the same thing. They're not. Now, I might be confident as a hypnotist, right? But then when it comes to talking, this isn't real, by the way, I'm just giving you an example. But when it comes to talking to girls, I've got no confidence. So confidence is situational. You can have confidence in one area of your life and no confidence in another, all right? Self-esteem, however, self-esteem is this. If things are going great, things are going great. If things aren't going great, self-esteem is, I know things aren't going great right now. And the world's throwing some blows at me, so I might need to put up my guard. But I know at some point it's going to get tired, and when it does, I'll make my comeback. Self-esteem is like that rich background on a computer, like a screensaver. You only know that it's there when you stop being on your keyboard, you stop using your mouse, and then after a couple of minutes your screensaver comes up, like, oh, there's that beautiful picture of me. That's self-esteem. Self-esteem is not saying everything's going to go right and perfect all the time, no. But understand, self-esteem is not catastrophized. It's not like everything's going to go bad all the time. Self-esteem is whatever happens, I'm ready. If it goes great, I'm ready. If it doesn't go perfect, I'm also ready. Because one thing's for sure, everybody on this Facebook Live here tonight is we've all got scars, mental scars. Some maybe physical. And those scars are a beautiful thing. Do you know why they're beautiful? Because they tell you whatever tried to kill you up to this point failed. Because you're still here. So anytime you go down that dark trance tunnel of anxiety, remind yourself, whatever mental or physical scars you have, that means you won. It means that anxiety didn't beat you. It didn't kill you. You survived it, and you'll continue to survive. So that, hopefully that kind of answers your question there, Camille. So you're not rehearsing for the worst case scenario, being like, hey, if it happens well, it happens well. If it doesn't happen well, I've got a plan for that as well. But I'll be okay because I've got through all these other storms up until this point. 3 tools, here we go. Again, if you've got more questions, put them into the your little comments box, and I'll do my best to turn my head like this and answer your questions. 3 tools, what I use with my clients. First tool is this. Whatever tool I'm going to share with you here tonight, guys, you've got to do 2 things before you use it. The first thing is you ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? So this is about anxiety, right? So let's say the emotion's anxiety. For the depressed person, it could be depression. For the angry person, it could be anger. But the first thing is we need to access the right file to work this. So you ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Anxiety. Second thing you ask yourself is, on a scale of 0 to 10, how strong is this anxiety right now? 0 being I have no anxiety. 10 is I'm about ready to have a panic attack right here. Ask yourself what the name is, the file name. Then second question is you ask yourself, how strong is it in this moment? 10, super strong, overwhelming. Strong is most powerful as it could be in a bad way. 0, non-existent. Always ask yourself before you use any of these techniques, those 2 questions. Hypothetically, you say to yourself, what am I feeling? Feeling anxious. On a scale of 0 to 10, how strong is it? It's a 7. Then all you do is you get an object. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just going to use this beverage right here. You can use your cell phone. You can use a pen. You can use a ball. It doesn't matter. I give my clients a shiny ball that lights up to use this. You can use anything. And all you do is a thing called bilateral stimulation. So you get an object and you just pass it from hand to hand. Understand, you're not throwing it. You're not playing hot potato, because this doesn't do anything. What you're doing is, as soon as one hand, it pushes it into the other hand, and you pass your cross line, your midline. Do you see how my other hand, both hands are touching it, till it goes past the center line, and it comes back. I push it past the center line, like so. Push it past the center line, like so. Here's what happens when you do this. You can try it now if you want, as long as it's safe to be hands-free with this. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Feeling anxiety, 0 to 10, whatever number. Hypothetically 7. Get any object, doesn't matter what it is, use your cell phone, whatever, and just pass from hand to hand like so, ensuring you pass the center point like so. And you just keep looking forward. You do not need to look at this. Key is you just pass your center point. Push the hand into the other hand before you let go. What's happening there is when you're anxious, one hemisphere of the brain is lit up. When somebody has a phobia, when they do an fMRI scan on their brain, one hemisphere of the brain is being flooded by blood. It's being lit up, essentially, technical name. When you get an object, any object, here I use my gamepad right there, any object, and you pass it from hand to hand, after about 30 seconds, the blood starts to even out on both hemispheres of the brain, which starts to tell the amygdala, you're not under attack, you're okay. You might want to keep doing that now. And that interrupts the phobic state, interrupts the anxiety. Understand that really all a phobia is an anxiety that's gone haywire and is generally for a specific area, okay? Insomnia is actually a form of anxiety as well. It's, if you saw my video from a few days ago, it's actually taking anxiety to bed. That's what insomnia is, essentially. So when you do that, it's called bilateral stimulation. Comes from neuroscience, doesn't matter on the object. Again, file anxiety, 0 to 10, it's a 7. Any object, the pen, pass it. But make sure, push past the middle line. I am not throwing it. This does not help you. This, watch, pass it, look at my hands, crossed. Cross, when my hands cross the middle line, center line of my body, then I let go. 30 seconds to a minute to 90 seconds. That's all it takes to fill both hemispheres with blood to start to down-regulate your anxiety, your panic attack, whatever it is. It's really simple. Don't trust my words for it. Actually use this. Use any of these techniques I'm going to show you tonight. Use them at least Make a commitment to yourself. Use them at least 3 times a day, more if you can. In fact, I'd recommend you do it more, but minimum 3 times a day for the next 30 days. You'll be amazed how powerful these simple techniques that aren't costing you a dime are effective. So that's the first tool, bilateral stimulation. If you forget it, it's pretty simple, but just rewind the video and watch that again. Doesn't matter the object. If you've got any questions about it, please put in the comments links underneath. If you're watching, give me a thumbs up, give me a wave, let me know you're still there, especially if you've just joined us. That's the first core tool, bilateral stimulation. Yeah, there you go. Jennifer says this works. I know, it's weird, eh? It works. I used to be scared of elevators, and in Toronto there's this big ass elevator. It's like the biggest escalator. Elevator, escalator, it's a British Canadian thing. It's a big escalator. It's like the biggest escalator I've ever seen. And I'd get to about 3/4 of it and I'd start to shake and I'd just get really uncomfortable. What's going on here? This is ridiculous. I'm a man, I'm a hypnotist, I'm a change worker, I'm not allowed to feel any fear at all. This went on for a little while. Hypnopixie was with me as well. So I'm going up the escalator, I'm done with this. I'm going to do what I teach my clients. Why don't I do what I teach my clients? Why don't I walk my talk here? So I think I pulled out my cell phone or my keys, right? And I'm like, 3/4 up this escalator. It takes forever to get up this thing, to get to see the movie. And I start to do it, and by the time I'm up to the escalator, it's just gone. I just don't feel it anymore. Actually, just before it gets to the top, I just don't feel it. It's not about distracting, because I'm in the moment. I'm actually feeling it. But it's those 2 hemispheres get filled with blood. It really works. It really works, and it's ridiculous. It doesn't matter what object you use. Bilateral stimulation is the name. Very good. There we go. Jesse's watching. How you doing, Jesse? Second tool that I'm going to teach you tonight is even quicker. It's even quicker than what I taught you. And this comes from Chinese medicine, actually. Each one of your fingers represents a different emotion. There's videos that I've got out there that I can send you if you put your email address. If you PM me, send me a personal message, I can send you the videos. They're on my YouTube channel. The second technique, again, comes from Oriental medicine. It comes from Asian medicine. Chinese medicine, I think is the correct term. Here's the thing. I've got a video that says, I told you sometimes I can be a little bit colourful, called Giving Fear the Middle Finger. All you need to know is your middle finger, doesn't matter on what hand, is your fear finger. Middle finger is fear. Index finger is anxiety. Thumb is worry. So what do? You can do this now if you want. Ask yourself, what's the emotion I'm feeling? If it's anxiety, fear or worry, get the number 0 to 10, whatever it is. Then all I ask you to do, whether it's fear, whether it's anxiety, or whether it's worry, bring them all together like a gun, like you're a child and you're playing bang, bang, bang gun. And then with your other hand, grab those 2 fingers and thumb. Doesn't matter how you do it, I'm just grabbing it like this. You can hold it out like that if you want. Again, I've got my middle finger, index finger and thumb. You can just relax it on your lap. And then just check in with yourself. About every 10 seconds or so. You don't have to do anything else. Just check in with yourself about every 10 seconds or so. And see where that number's going now. It's the weirdest thing. Keep doing that. I'm going to keep talking, keep checking in with yourself if you're doing this, if you're playing along here tonight. It's really effective. I'm going to read one of Jennifer's questions here. How do you know what you've got? Anxiety or depression? Can't leave my house. Don't want to leave my house. Well, anxiety is essentially fear. Heart, bang, bang, bang. I don't want to leave. Depression is more sadness. So anxiety is more fear. The underlying emotion is fear. Depression, the underlying emotion is sadness. So I'd ask you, what do you feel more of? Anxiety or sadness? You can feel them both. Oftentimes, people come to me, will clear up all their anxiety, it's gone. And anxiety is kind of a good emotion. So I tell you why? Because it makes you do stuff. It makes you do stuff. Oftentimes, you've got all this adrenaline, all this energy. And oftentimes it's masking sadness, which comes underneath. And then when we're sad, we can't be bothered to do anything. We're just defeated. We're just stuck. So oftentimes anxiety is still an unresourceful emotion. Oftentimes, not all the time, but most of the time. But it comes because it's a higher level negative emotion. We can still get shit done when we're anxious. We won't feel good about it, unfortunately. But when we're sad, oftentimes we ain't getting anything done. So again, if I was working with someone with some form of depression after doing a screening call, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, I kind of find out what's going on and I clear up the anxiety anyways. What anyone comes into me for, just looking at the time right there, what anyone comes into me for, I always do an element of dealing with the anxiety, because there's always going to be an anxiety element. What happens when I leave your office a week from now, a month from now? What happens? I'll give you an example. I have clients that come in that are scared of aeroplanes, scared of flying, and they'll come in and I'll say, hey, what's your problem? I've got a fear of airplanes. Why do you want to get rid of it? Well, I'm flying to Jamaica next week, or I'm flying to England next week. I'm like, all right, how high is it? Well, like, Luke, if we do it in your office is on the ground floor, and you don't have an aeroplane out back. So how do I know that this shit worked? To which I'd always say, close your eyes. And they would close their eyes. And I'd say, imagine it's a week from now, you're on the aeroplane. It's just about to take off. Maybe there's a bit of turbulence as I gently shake them. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much fear or anxiety do you feel? And they light up their neurology. I can see it. I can feel the tenseness of their muscles. It's a 9, it's a 10. To which they open their eyes. And I say, well, you understand you're not on an aeroplane right now, right? You understand that we're not like super high in the air right now, ground floor office, right? Like, yeah. But you can still do your anxiety. You're like, yeah. It had nothing to do with the aeroplane. It had to do with how you interpret the aeroplane. Because you see, if aeroplanes and flying was a natural fear, by the way, we're only born with 2 fears, by the way. That's hardwired into us for evolution. It's the fear of bang, loud sounds. That's why when you hear a bang or hear a loud sound, you automatically jump out of your skin. And the fear of falling. Everything else is a learnt behaviour. Typically, we learn it from about the age of 0 to about 5. Between the age of 0 and about 5, we pretty much learn about 95% of what we're going to learn from the rest of the world. It's extraordinary. It's called the blueprint period, where most of it's been programmed into us. And we're not even choosing the programming. It's been done by parents, oftentimes well-meaning parents. It's done by the media. It's done by social media. It's done by Facebook. Certainly done by marketers and people that want to sell you stuff as well, to make you feel bad about yourself, so you need to buy more of X product in order to feel better. See, my model is very different. I'm a bad businessman. I don't see people for like 10 years, 4 times a week to help them fix their anxiety, whatever their issue. I typically see people 1 to 3 times. Unless it's a weight issue and they've got a shitload of weight to lose, then I need to coach them through it a little bit. But for every other problem, every other problem that's not a huge amount of weight for them to release, generally I help people within about 1 to 3 sessions, and our work is done. Because I'm not a hired friend. I'm here to help people get the result that they want. So when they leave my office, I say this to them lovingly: I hope I never fucking see you again, and you live the rest of your life amazingly, and you send me a periodical email that tells me just how fucking great that you're doing, and tell your friends all about me. So it's not really a great business model, is it? Like helping people fix themselves within about 1 to 3 sessions. Anyways, so anyone have any experience? Anyone just try that? Hold it. Doesn't matter which hand, those 3 fingers, holding it and allowing the anxiety to drop. If you have any feedback with that, if you have any comments about that, put them underneath. It's a really simple one. Again, get the file. What am I feeling? Feeling anxiety, 0 to 10. How strong is it? It's a 7. Fear, anxiety, worry, double up on them all. Hold them all. Hold it for as long as it takes for it to drop. In the old days, if I was in a concert or a street festival and I'd be walking through, I'd be doing great. But as soon as I didn't have a clear exit, my adrenaline would go up, my fear and anxiety would go up, and I'd go from about a 0 to about a 10 quicker than that. So a few years ago, I was walking through this environment that had lots of people, like a street festival, and I felt that anxiety creeping up. And I wasn't in any danger, but your unconscious doesn't know the difference between something that's real, really happening in front of you, and something you vividly imagine. And I did this really well for many years. So I did this thing. I walked around this festival, this street festival, with my fingers like this. And the anxiety just dropped away. Maybe I looked a bit weird when I was walking around this, but I'm sure most people didn't notice. But it works. It's really, really powerful. So just simply hold these fingers, hold it for as long as you want. You might say, Luke, what happens when I let go? The anxiety comes back. Then grab them again. What happens when I let go? They come back. Grab them again. Because every time you interrupt that old pattern, you're interrupting that old neurological pathway that says, hey, it was created probably to keep you safe and protect you at some point, the anxiety, but understand it doesn't help or protect you anymore, and if anything, it's hurting you and robbing you of your life. So every time you stop that old pattern, it literally puts a roadblock up and says, we can't go down that road to be safe and protected anymore. We can't go down the anxiety highway. There's this other highway we can go down, which may take twice as long initially to get there, because you've been doing this highway for so long, you can do it with your eyes closed. This new way takes a little bit, it still gets you home, still gets you safe, but may take twice as long because you're not used to this old road of doing it. But eventually it may be 3 times of driving down it, it may be 7, it might be 14, it might be 21, but eventually this new road, this new neurological pathway becomes your new normal, and that old road of anxiety literally gets switched off. It gets pruned as you sleep. In neuroscience they call it synaptic pruning, which means when you sleep at night and have good quality sleep, if you're no longer doing anxiety, you keep interrupting it, and it could be with the bilateral stimulation, passing the object as we did earlier. It might be the finger hold, but every time you interrupt it, the road gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And I ask you, if there's a road that no one ever drives down again, what happens to that road? You can put your comments underneath if you want. Think about it. If there's a road that no one ever travels down, what happens to it over time? What happens is it just returns to what it was. I watched Discovery Channel once, and it told me that it takes about 100 years, but if something's unmanned, it just returns to what it was. Essentially, it turns to land, it turns to grass, and what from once it came from. It doesn't take 100 years in your brain to do that. It may take one night. It may take one session, it may take 2, it may take up to 2 weeks, it may take 3 weeks, but eventually when you sleep at night, your unconscious, your amygdala, prefrontal cortex of your brain prunes it, and that road just gets switched off and you can't go down it anymore. And the new road, which is still going to give you the same payoff that anxiety thought it was giving you, to make you feel safe, to make you feel protected, it grows back, is what Deb says. The road grows back, but you've got a new road, a new way of doing it. You don't have to go through the horrors of anxiety. Camille asks, what do you do if anxiety is correlated with fear from a legitimate health condition? Okay, I've just showed you a couple of things you can do. You can do the bilateral stimulation, passing the object. You can do the fingers hold. Because there's many people that will go through, oftentimes I see people that are going through cancer, terrible cancer. And what I do can help them. It can help them. I never suggest they replace their medical help with me. I strongly advise they keep having their medical personnel work with them, their doctor, whomever, and doing whatever they suggest. I help them to clear up the negative emotions around it. Because whatever your emotional problem is, be that anxiety, depression, there's a shitload of unconscious emotions that haven't been dealt with, baggage, emotional baggage, if you will, that hasn't been let go, that hasn't gone through the system, that's just staying around like a bad smell in your house, or an in-law that you're trying to get rid of and they've just stayed, they're overdue, they're staying inside your house. It's about processing those emotions, and oftentimes a weird thing happens when those emotions are processed. Oftentimes a lot of symptoms for a lot of conditions, a lot of really bad conditions, will start to go into remission and disappear. It's an amazing thing, but I help people deal with those emotions around it. If you think about your illness as this, think about it, let's say, I don't know, for example, someone's got chronic pain, all right? So I see a lot of people for chronic pain. Chronic pain means they've had the pain for at least 6 months, they've been diagnosed with it, and the doctor's basically run out of ways to help them, all right? They come to me and I say, hey, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much is your pain right now? And the client says, well, Luke, I'll tell you, when I got out of bed this morning, no, where's your pain right now? Oh, Luke, I know when I leave your office and I go up the big flight of stairs to get to my house, it will be, no, where's your pain right now in this moment? And they're like, oh, it's a 2. Because what happens oftentimes is when it comes to pain or any kind of problem, if you imagine a table with 3 legs, one leg is right now, is what I'm feeling right now, it's the pain I'm feeling right now. 1/3 is what they felt this morning. They call it historic pain. Your mind goes back to compare to that. The other leg is the anxiety, if you will. The what happens if the pain comes back later when I'm walking up the stairs when I go to the gym. So we take out that first leg of the history, we take out the second leg of the future that hasn't happened yet. All that's left is that one leg that's holding that pain up. So we've already basically taken their pain or the problem, and we've taken away 2/3 of it, which is a significant thing. And there's oftentimes other ways that I can help people to dissolve that final leg as well, if that makes sense. I owe you one more tool, don't I? I'm only giving you two. First one, bilateral stimulation. Use it, all right? Second one is the finger hold. Last one is called 6-step tapping. I have used this for clients with anxiety, soldiers with post-traumatic stress disorder, people with eating issues, people with addiction issues, people that were addicted to crystal meth. This shit worked for us. It's really amazing. You're going to feel a bit silly doing it. I'll tell you that right now. I certainly do. It just works. And if it works, I don't care how silly I look. Neither do most of my clients. Let me show you and tell you how to do it. It's really, really simple. 6-step tapping. You can use this for anything. Anything that's too big or monstrous that's scaring you. It could be anxiety, it could be fear, it could be depression, it could be sadness, it could be anger, it could be guilt, it could be shame. You can use it for anything. First thing you do is you get the file name. What is it I'm feeling that I don't want to feel? Anxiety, right? That's why we're all here. On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being high, unbearable, 0 being I don't feel it at all. How strong is the anxiety? Hypothetically, it's a 7. Take your hand, tap the crown of your head. And as you tap the crown of your head, you just repeat, I release and let go of X. Whatever X is, your condition. I release and let go of my anxiety. I release and let go of this anxiety. I release and let go of that anxiety. Then you tap between your eyebrows. I release and let go of my anxiety. I release and let go of this anxiety. I release and let go of that anxiety. Temple, doesn't matter, right or left side. I release and let go of my anxiety. I release and let go of this anxiety. I release and let go of that anxiety. Underneath the eye, doesn't matter which one. I release and let go of my anxiety. I release and let go of this anxiety. I release and let go of that anxiety. Collarbone. I release and let go of my anxiety. I release and let go of this anxiety. I release and let go of that anxiety. You finish it off by grabbing the wrist of your left hand where you'd like the way you'd grab a watch or something. Grab the whole wrist. Look at the palm of your left hand. It's safe to do that. Take a big deep breath in. Hold your breath. And take twice as long to slowly breathe all the way out. It's safe to do it. Close your eyes. Check in with your anxiety. One of three things happens. It either completely goes in one hit, in which case, awesome. Or it will go down drastically, but there'll still be a little bit left. It still moved, good. Worst case scenario, it probably dropped by about 2, in which case, do another round of it. Doesn't matter what the problem is. Doesn't matter if you mess up the words for those perfectionists out there, it still works. The 6 spots are crown of your head, about 10 times. In between your eyebrows, about 10 times. Temple, about 10 times. Underneath either eye, about 10 times. Collarbone, about 10 times. Grab your left wrist, look at your left palm, squeeze it. You've got a bunch of meridian points there, acupressure points. Big deep breath in. Hold. Take twice as long to slowly breathe all the way out. And check in with yourself what number it is. Use it for everything. Sometimes what happens is a client will come in with symptoms of anxiety. We'll clear out the anxiety, but they still won't feel good. I'll say, what is anxiety? Well, look, I'm not feeling anxiety. The anxiety is 0 now, but I feel sad. We'll run the protocol on sadness. We clear that up. Well, look, I'm not feeling anxious or sad now, but I still don't feel good. I've got a bunch of guilt. We run it on guilt. It's a bit like the Matrix, right? Or a bit like an onion. Sometimes there's layers that we need to go through until eventually we've cleared it all out. There might be multiple layers, and anxiety is just the top surface level that we need to get through, clear it out. It still might not be pleasant, it still may not be healed, but we need to get through those other levels. So that's called 6-step tapping. I release and let go of X. I release and let go of my X. It's mine, I don't want to let go of it. I release and let go of this X. Well, yeah, this is a bottle of pop, sugar-free with no aspartame. I guess I could kind of let go of that. I'm releasing and letting go of that. That pen, yeah, you can have that pen. I don't want that pen. We don't want to let go of stuff that's ours. We don't want to lose our husband, our wife, our car, our job, our house. It's ours. Oh, my anxiety. You're not having my anxiety. It's mine. Start using some language in this anxiety. helps to push you away a little bit from it. Dissociate, which you want to do for anxiety. Associate into good emotions, love, happiness, joy, excitement. Joy, there we go, joy twice. Dissociate from bad emotions like anxiety to give yourself more distance. That anxiety, that pen, that car, that man, that woman gives you that extra space between it. Sometimes that languaging is very, very powerful. I release and let go of mine. I release and let go of this. I release and let go of that. So those are your free tools that I shared with you tonight. Please rewatch this. Share it with people that you think would benefit from it. We're going over. It's 8 p.m. Right, one final thing, right? So I promised I'd give you my story. I've done that. Give me the thumbs up if you listen to the story, if you like the story. I gave you at least 3 tools. I delivered on that ideally you use. Are you going to commit to using these tools? Don't just believe me, but also understand that having a tool that you never use is stupid. It's a bit like having a beautiful tool case that you got for Christmas and it's expensive, but you never use it, then it's worthless. Or getting a bunch of beautiful makeup from MAC or Sephora and it looks amazing, you look amazing, you're gonna feel so great, but you never take the time to apply it. Doesn't matter. This shit only works if you apply it. All right. So I gave you those 3 tools: bilateral stimulation, the finger hold, and the tapping protocol. Also, want to offer you one last thing. I promise if you listen all the way to the end of this screening call, what I'd offer you. So I want to offer you what we call strategy call. It's free. It's 45 minutes with me over audio, generally Facebook audio between you and I. So it's like a call, a phone call, but over Facebook. It's an opportunity for you and I to speak, for me to find out a little bit more about you, a little bit more about your personal story, what's going on, and assess, give you some tools to perhaps overcome it, and assess if you can overcome it, and if you're ready to overcome it, but having my ear, so to speak, having me in your corner personally for about 45 minutes, going through this to help to alleviate those problems. Understand this is not a hypnosis session. Understand this is not a therapy session. Understand this is me listening to you and just giving you some tips on some things that you can do personally for you to help to give you some distance. So they actually take quite a lot of time. It takes 45 minutes and it's actually quite grueling for me to do, especially if I do 5 or 6 of them a day along with my normal clients. But I do have 3 spots this week open for these strategy calls. Sometimes I call them a screening call. It's everything I just said to you. So I'm going to put the link underneath this very video. It'll probably be the last link. All you've got to do, if you'd like a strategy call with me, click on the link, takes you to a page and explains how you can book it in on my online schedule. Again, it's totally free of charge because I don't even know if I can help you, so it'd be unfair to charge you anything. But on this call, you'll get me 45 minutes. Click on the link, follow the instructions, choose the J, choose the time, and if I'm available, we'll talk. But I've got 3 this week. That's all I've got, and they'll likely be gone by the end of the day. Because these are very, very valuable to people. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that right after this screening call. I'm going to put that link at the bottom. Click on it. Watch a little video if you're not quite sure how to book on my online schedule. It's pretty simple. Follow the instructions. Click on what day you want. Click on what time you want. Fill out a quick questionnaire. Basically, the questionnaire takes 2 minutes. That's it. But it just gets my mind right. So when I give you a call up on the Facebook, the audio, I can make sure that I'm on the same page as you, and I can really, really help you to specifically zero in on what it is that's troubling you and what your triggers are, and make it all about you as opposed to being generic and wasting time over that. So I want to be specific with you, because with clarity and being specific about things is power. But that link's going to be right at the bottom. Click on it, watch the short video, it'll tell you how to fill it out, and then we can speak on the phone. Once you book that, I'll get the notification, and then we'll go from there. But unless you've got any questions there, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. If you've got any more questions, please put them in the comment box now. Even at the end of the call, if you add questions to this, I will endeavour to answer all your questions underneath this. If you're still there, give me a wave, give me a thumbs up so I know who is still out there live in Facebook Wonderland. But unless you've got any questions, I have been Luke Michael Howard, the change worker, the hypnotist, speaking to you from Toronto, and I guess all that's left for me to say is always believe.